Check if we're online and recording first.
Good Chair, I've started recording. I'm just going to ask IT if we're online.
Perfect, thank you. Just want to check that everything's in order.
We are live, Chair.
Fine. Perfect, thank you so much. Welcome everyone to today's Finance, Economic Opportunities and Tourism Committee. My name is Deirdre Bartman, I'm chairperson of the committee. Today we'll be dealing with the deliberation on the particular vote 3, which deals with the finance department. We will then also consider and adopt draft committee report on the particular vote and then deal with resolutions on the particular matter. Members, as usual, I'm going to ask that you just introduce yourselves. Then I'm going to ask the Minister and his delegation to introduce themselves. They will have opportunity for introductory remarks and or if they would like to put other information to us in a presentation format, should they wish. But the information is also on page 39 until page 54 in your adjusted estimates of provincial revenue and expenditure 2021 as sent out by the Papers Office yesterday morning. But colleagues, with that, I'm going to ask just that members introduce themselves, please.
Morning, Chairperson. Andrikus van der Westhuizen, member of the committee.
Thank you. Welcome.
Morning, Chair. My name is Nomi Nkondlo.
Welcome.
Morning, Chair. My name is Matlodi Maseko.
Welcome. Okay, I don't see anyone else on the chat box or on the participants list. I'll hand over to the Minister and his delegation now. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. It obviously gives me great pleasure to introduce the 2021 adjustments budget for Provincial Treasury Vote 3, which of course shows a downward adjustment of about 12 million rand, which means that the budget will be adjusted down from 319.6 to 307.6 million rand, largely as a result of a reduction in Program 2. We certainly look forward to the discussion, and we do indeed have a very short presentation, which I think will be a useful scene setter for the committee, which we would like to present. Chairperson, I'm obviously joined by David Savage, the head of Provincial Treasury, together with the team, and I'd like to hand over to him to introduce himself and the team. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister, and good morning, Chairperson and committee members. Yes, we've joined. My name is David Savage, the head official of Provincial Treasury. We are joined by a full team of management of the department here today, including both of our deputy directors general, Ms. Jalinda Gantana and Dr. Roy Haverman, chief directors, as well as our chief financial officer and our head of Ms. Anna-Marie Smith, and our head of strategic and operational management support, Ms. Nadia Ibrahim. Chairperson, as the Minister mentioned, we do have a very brief presentation that I think just pulls out the main issues, the highlights of the adjustment. And if I can ask the CFO to bring that up very quickly, and it won't take us long, but I think would just assist the committee in its deliberations, after which we can answer questions. While we're waiting for the CFO to bring that up, Let me just say that it has already been a very busy year for the Provincial Treasury, and there have been a number of priority programs that are proceeding apace. Obviously, you would have seen the results of some early results and outputs of that encapsulated in the medium-term budget policy statement yesterday, including some of the work we've been doing on risk, on our expenditure reviews, on strategic foresight, and in ongoing adjustments to the budget process. But underneath all of that, and probably not yet coming out clearly in the budget policy statement, but more targeted to March next year, is work that's being done on the infrastructure side, extensive work in the local government domain, and of course our ongoing commitments around procurement reform in the province. If we can just go to the next slide. Thanks, Nasreen. Yes, so the Minister had already indicated there is an overall net decrease of 3.8% in the vote. That there are various internal variants and shifts. If we go to the next slide, in Program 1, there's shifts which are providing additional funds for business process re-engineering in the department, and additional activities in the culture journey process, which is a leadership and strategic alignment management process underway in the department, which is bearing some very nice fruit. There's also capital assets increases due to delays in receiving. Members will remember we had a notional underspending last year because computer equipment was delayed due to those global supply chain challenges, particularly that hit computer components in the course of at the end of the last financial year. On Program 2, the Minister had already indicated there are some adjustments. There have been savings due to delays in filling of vacant posts and some training procurement delays as well. We have ongoing efforts to reduce costs where we can, and we have reduced some costs in ICT consultancy services, and then we are shifting funds that we usually do in the course of the year around some of the grants as they become under project management of individual initiatives we're supporting in municipalities. If you go to the next slide. As I mentioned earlier, that there are savings on compensation of employees, and which lead to a downward adjustment. Often, if there are delays or setbacks in the hiring of staff by a month or two, those obviously are savings on compensation that we would not then be able to spend in a particular year, and that has happened in some posts. Although I'm pleased to say we continue to make steady progress in filling critical vacancies and in achieving associated goals there. On goods and services, there's a reduction of 1.2 million in our infrastructure development improvement program. We can speak to that in more detail if committee would like to hear more about that. And then savings that we achieved on our expenditure review, the program, particularly around some of the fiscal futures projects, the consultancy services we're anticipating, actually managed to do quite a bit of that in-house as well. And then on transfers and subsidies, a significant reduction to the Gambling and Racing Board due to an increase in their own revenues. And then on transfers to municipalities, particularly the financial management support grant, due to the total value of projects applied for by municipalities, eligible projects applied for by municipalities, being less than the total grant allocation. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you so much. That's short and sweet. Members, if you have any questions, I'll just remind you of the page numbers quickly. It is page 39 to 54 in the adjustment budget, vote 3. I will take hands now. Going once. Okay, I see one hand. Member Nkondlo, are there any other hands? If none, Member Nkondlo, you may go ahead. I'm just going to put my video off for connectivity purposes. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson, and thank you to the Minister and the HOD for the presentation. I just want to first ask, I think, more like general questions, and then I would then link them to the specific pages. I just want to check with the HOD this notion of savings of COE. As it says, some of the vacancies are later have not been filled as per or as anticipated. And if one looks, I think it's on more than one or two programs. So what I'm trying to understand, these posts, firstly, are these posts that have not been filled at this point a repetition in the previous year? Two, are they critical posts in as far as the organogram is concerned of the department? And hopefully, Chair, I would request that we get exactly which are those posts, the levels of those posts as
Member Nkondlo, you lost sound after you asked about which posts they were, and I just wanted to check if other members also lost sound in terms of Member Nkondlo, but I see that you are unmuted.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Can you hear me now, Chair? Can you hear me?
Yes, we lost you just after you asked for which post that they can provide for us, please. Thank you.
Okay. No, thank you. If we can get the list of those posts, just to have a sense about this particular matter. That's why, firstly, I ask if this, because I've seen in this department and others, I think this becomes a sort of, one would say, a standing item where you find that the savings of COE on the same basis. So I'm trying to understand in detail what does that mean, and how has this occurrence been happening in those specific posts that currently their funds are being actually reallocated back to provincial revenue fund. And then secondly, Chair, I think the department and I think the HOD already spoke to this. I think there's a 2.7 on some building treasury brand. So I just wanted to understand this project. How far is it in terms of project scoping? Are we talking, because I see it's a project to be done by some consultants. So is it a new project? Is it a project that is potentially going to be concluded in this financial year? And it had to get extra funds as funds have been moved to sort of augment maybe the funds to this program. And then on this issue of fiscal futures, Chair, I remember, I think this is one of the interventions, I think both the Premier and the Minister in this new administration made on this fiscal futures initiative. I'm just interested to understand, how is this fiscal futures intervention or program funded? If just I could be explained. I see now that there are monies that must be moved to sort of once again reallocate to this. But I'm just asking in general, is it a standalone program? Is it a program that gets to be budgeted for upfront in the financial year? And in which program does it sit at this point? Because I remember it's one of the things that was introduced as part of this COVID-19 understanding the fiscal environment that we're in. My last one, Chair, is that I just want to, and it's not in this report, I just want to understand from the HOD the funds that have been actually given to the departments by National Treasury on the presidential youth interventions. Can I just understand, how are these funds contracted between the presidency, which has got a custodianship and oversight over this project, with the province? Is that done through the provincial treasury, or is done directly with those departments? Who monitors, and who can, where can one ask, that kind of, whether it's a service level agreement, that indicates or stipulates how these funds will be spent by the relevant department, what are the reporting timelines? If maybe the HOD can just clarify me if he got that information. If not, he can direct me where I can be able to get that info. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you so much, Member Nkondlo. Minister and HOD, I'm going to, oh, sorry, I see another hand quickly. Member van der Westhuizen.
Yes, thank you, Chair. No questions on the detail of what's been presented, but just two items which I would like to highlight. The first one is I really struggled to download the estimated adjustment budget from the internet. It doesn't seem to be even on Treasury's website. And I really just couldn't find it there, and I do think that the public would be quite interested in that bill. The second one is just earlier today we again saw quite a big amount. In my book, 600,000 rand is a significant amount that's going to be allocated by another department to a local government for the development of a policy by consultants. And I have a question. How do we ensure the quality of the work of those consultants when they develop policies or draft policies for entities, etc.? It has been a matter of concern to me, and whether we are getting value for money. Is there any way in which Treasury can perhaps ensure that the money that we now in this adjustment budget allocate, that money is spent wisely and it's rendering value for money, particularly when it's got such, can I call it, a little bit of amorphous outcomes? Thank you.
Thank you so much. Members, I just also would like to refer you to the Papers Office email from Ms. Simon. It was emailed yesterday at 10:58 with a link to the ATC with different documentation. In terms of getting the documentation on the specific WCVP or Provincial Treasury website, from WCVP side, I'll ask the procedural officer just to check on that, and from Provincial Treasury side, I'll ask that the HOD just deals with that as well, please. But HOD and Minister, you can allocate the questions accordingly. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. I'd like the HOD to respond and call on any member of the team to supplement. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much for the questions. Yes, certainly in the I have already followed up on the budget documentation. I'll do so again immediately after this meeting. Thanks for pointing that. Thanks for pointing that out. I know that there were problems with the size of some of the documents tabled yesterday, particularly the mirror, that may have led to some technical challenges. But members and certainly the public are still experiencing that. That's not what we want at all. So we'll certainly sort that out immediately. Member Nkondlo, you asked the question on COE expenditure, compensation expenditure. These are not what the department has is a critical vacancies and posts committee, a COE committee that is both responsible for the ongoing development of our personnel strategy, our COE strategy, which is something that all votes in the province are in the process of developing, but also for reviewing individual posts on the basis of criticality to the strategy and the operations of the department. So not all posts are we intending to fill, given the compensation dynamics currently at play in the public sector. But we do have a process to identify individual critical posts, and that's put through a committee which reviews it. It then comes to myself, who I then independently review it, and then it goes to the minister, who also reviews it. So to make sure that we are being very, very rigorous in ensuring that it is only critical posts that are filled. We do have a list of critical posts. They're often in critical functions, like, for example, in supply chain, that where we have relatively high levels of churn. So where in fact we tend to be the place where people get a really solid foundation with some experienced professionals in public sector supply chain management, and then become very marketable. We don't see that as a cost. It's one of the things that we do around building capacity in the public sector as a whole. Younger professionals spend some time with us. They can then move into the municipal environment, other departments, and the cream of the cream, of course, comes back to the provincial treasury. So there is a process. We can provide you with a list of posts. Just to go back to, and I'll ask the CFO to speak to that shortly. The question of why we get the savings is, obviously we set ourselves aggressive targets to fill critical posts, but it takes a lot. The resignations happen with sort of a month's notice, but it takes a much longer period of time to then fill that post. One's got to advertise, one's got to go through the shortlisting and interview processes, one's got to do background checks and so forth. And then unfortunately, sometimes when a preferred candidate is identified, they decline the offer, because they're often very marketable, and they may have a competing offer or a change in their career plans, and so forth. So these are the things that lead to setbacks. Each day that post is vacant is effectively a saving. We can't spend that money, and so our projections are therefore very dynamic. We do obviously keep a close eye on when retirements are due, and we try and ask staff, although they're not compelled to give us as much advance notice of their own intentions, but inevitably our projections do remain dynamic because of all of these issues. I'll ask the CFO to come back and talk to the specific posts, because we do keep them in very kind of a clear line of sight around them. It's not so much, the spending that we're interested in, it's the people and their ability to support us in our mandate. On the question of building the PT brand, there's been a lot of work in terms. This isn't around advertising. This is around building our culture as a department, as a highly effective department. And I will ask Ms. Ibrahim to talk to those issues. And then on the Fiscal Futures project, I will ask Dr. Haverman to talk to those questions. It is funded within Program 2. It is largely, a large part of what we're doing is with our own personnel. I mean, we have highly skilled personnel here, and we can provide training for them in areas that are new developments and so forth, and we do have a program in that respect. Finally, Honourable Nkondlo, your question on the presidential youth employment initiatives. Now, the biggest part of that has been in the education sector, where we're hiring around 20,000 short-term teaching assistants, and the framework for that is set by the presidency, as you quite rightly pointed out, and they do monitor that. The funding comes through for that program in education for the teaching assistants comes through the provincial equitable share. That means it's not a conditional grant in the sort of old school sense. It gives us flexibility, and I think good flexibility in this case, to be able to manage those funds to maximize the number of opportunities that we can create. And so already, for example, in our discussions with the presidency and with National Treasury in that respect, in the sort of second round of these initiatives, what we've agreed is there needs to be a slightly broader definition of eligible positions there, and so that it can, and that in fact has been introduced, so that it's, for example, allows sports coaches and so forth, and other sorts of skills in support to after school programs and so forth, so that these are employment opportunities for young people, but they are more broad-based around the education system than just being purely classroom assistants. The program itself is managed by the Department of Education, who does report on it, and we can provide you with further information on that as well. And I think if Dr. Haverman wanted to add, he'd be welcome to do so as well. Honourable van der Westhuizen, your question on the oversight of consultants, you know, in terms of standard supply chain management practices for professional services, obviously contract specification and oversight is critically important. I mean, if you're just giving people money to produce any old output, that's never going to meet your needs. I mean, the process we adopt in the Provincial Treasury is much more of a sort of partnership approach. You see that Mero, for instance, where our team works very closely with service providers that we bring in, because it's not efficient for us to keep a standing army of analysts right through the year for that product in particular. It's rather better to mobilize them for a particular point in the year. But the way we get the product that we get is working hand in glove with them as we go on, and holding them firmly to account for outputs. And so that's done in terms of, depending on the nature of the contract, either in terms of regular, weekly, fortnightly, monthly reporting, or on the close monitoring of outputs relative to specification to make sure that they meet needs. That is something that we do speak with departments who use professional services in this sort of manner about, and we're always available to assist them both in the specification of their requirements, as well as in the management of contracts at a systems level. The accountability for the actual specification, the actual contract oversight, of course, remains with the departments. But I think Mr. Smith may want to talk a little bit further to that, so I'll hand over to him in that respect. So just to then follow up for what I've missed out here, if I could go to the CFO first, then to Ms. Ismail, then to Dr. Harleman, and then to Mr. Smith. Anna Marie.
Okay, good morning, members and colleagues. As the HOD has indicated, we do have a list of all of the vacant posts, and also those posts that are funded. Currently, there are 28 posts that's vacant and funded. We do have the timelines for when these posts will be filled, so anticipated filling dates. As the HOD has also indicated, when we do our, what we call our workbooks or our planning for the filling, we go to the individuals, and we talked about we fund the warm bodies, and then also anticipate when these the vacant posts will be filled. But but unfortunately, sometimes it takes a bit longer, as the HOD have indicated. There's a number of processes, and it could take anything from 6 to 12 months to fill up a post. And sometimes, as HOD also indicated, you don't get a suitable candidate, and then you have to restart the process, or in some cases, specifically on the supply chain management, we went out for a headhunting process to ensure that we get the right candidates. So I can provide the list of all of the vacant posts to the committee. It ranges from level 9s, because level 9s is our entry post, to level 14. But I must also indicate that we have recently appointed quite a number of new SMS members. So we are making progress, but as the HOD also indicated, as soon as we appoint, then we also get resignations and also some requests for early retirement. So I think that's all I want us to add to what the HOD has indicated. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anna Marie. Nadia.
Good morning, Chairperson, and good morning to the committee members and all of my colleagues. So I'm responding to the questions on the building of the Treasury brand in terms of how far we've got in terms of the project scoping. So like HOD mentioned, the whole idea behind building the Treasury brand is just to address the need that the PT had to address our cultural challenges through a culture journey, and to strengthen our existing culture through very purposeful initiatives with the aim of developing a strong culture that supports our strategic objectives. So the project is divided into two. Phase 1, which included a diagnosis of the culture, and this took the form of gathering and analyzing data to inform our strategy, which brought us to phase 2, which is where we currently are in. Phase 2 is the execution of the strategy, and this consists of psychometric assessments as well as leadership development through coaching and soft skills training and the like. We have identified the need to extend the contract with the service provider for a period of 12 months. So that is from 1st of October 2022 to the 30th of September 1st of October 2021 to the 30th of September 2022. As provided in terms of the current contract, as well as to expand the scope by making use of a specific leadership circle degree assessment tool. And the reason for this is due to the outbreak of the coronavirus. It was unexpected and definitely outside of the contracting parties' reasonable control. And as a result, it had impacted on the ability of the service provider to perform its contractual obligations in part. As you can understand, the pandemic was not foreseeable at the time that the contract was entered into. So what I can add is that there has been the extension of the scope and the time period of the contract by virtue of the pandemic and its implications for us. Being in December 2021, we are just under 1 month to go before the contract comes to an end. But we are making a lot of strides to ensure that the momentum does continue way beyond the time that the service provider exits the building. Thank you.
Thank you. And then Dr. Haverman on the fiscal futures work.
Thank you very much, HOD, and good morning to Chair and committee members. Yes, I think as the HOD has highlighted, a lot of that work has already been delivered internally. So we did a comprehensive first phase of the fiscal futures work in the lead up to the M2PS and as part of the process of developing scenarios. So as part of Budget Circular 1, we undertook a scenario mapping exercise for a pessimistic, optimistic and baseline scenario under different assumptions. This allowed us to develop a set of fiscal futures around each of those areas over the 3, 5 and 10-year horizons. And so we've managed to do most of the work actually internally using internal resources. So all of that forecasting work and that analysis was done internally. And so we've not needed to use external consultants in this financial year. We will, however, as indicated in the adjustments budget, we will likely now use the consultants during the course of next year.
Thank you very much. And then I think the final question was from Honourable van der Westhuizen. Isaac Smith, I don't know if you wanted to add anything in terms of professional services management.
No, thank you, HOD, and good morning to the chairperson and members. Maybe just to add to what you've indicated, that within the province we've developed a sound system of governance and capacity building. So when it comes to the monitoring of services, one of the major issues before the departments are contracting is basically to identify the need and whether that need cannot be dealt with inside of departments, and if not, that being outsourced. And with that, we've clearly outlined the process in terms of the provincial treasury instructions, and then also the blueprint accounting officer system that we've issued, and recently we've updated that, and that is then customized by the department. So in that particular document, there is a chapter on a specification development and the process in terms of signing that off through a specification committee. And then there's also a chapter as far as contract management is concerned, which clearly identify the steps that departments need to take in properly managing these contracts. In addition to that particular governance environment that we've created, we've also linked up and collaborated with legal services in developing a course on contract management. So what legal services is also doing, depending on the need of the departments, is making that course available in terms of how contracts needs to be managed, and also in terms of making sure that that whatever we've specified, that has been delivered and that payments is done accordingly. So there is a system, a quite a tight system as far as contract management is concerned, and clearly identifiable deliverables when it comes to payments, that we do not pay for services that's not been delivered, and all the departments is subject to that particular process. So as far as the provincial treasury is concerned, that is also what we've adopted, and from the CFO perspective, she's also monitoring that on a monthly basis, providing feedback not only to management but individual managers to make sure that we get value for money as far as these services are concerned. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much. Is that all of them?
Yes, thank you, Chairperson.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. I am going to ask if there are any follow-up questions, that we please submit them in writing. Minister, do you have any concluding remarks?
Thank you, Chairperson. No, I do not have any concluding remarks, but I do wish to thank the committee for the opportunity to share and discuss the adjusted budget. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I firstly would like to thank the Minister, the HOD, Team Finance, for the hard work and dedication that they've put into this year. Last year we saw 3 adjustments. This year we had a budget in a COVID budget time, and now we see our adjustment budget for this year within a global pandemic as well. So we thank you for adapting and being agile in the current environment that we are in. But with that, I am going to excuse you from the meeting so that the members can put their views on the particular vote. In this regard, you are welcome to stay should you wish, but you are welcome to also go ahead with your day-to-day activities. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Thanks, members.
Thank you so much. Members, on this particular vote, vote 3, I'm going to take views from members now on the vote. Okay, I see members van der Westhuizen's hand, member Kontlo's hand. And go in that order, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Having listened to the department and the adjustments as proposed, I would like to propose that we support vote 3. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Mkondlo.
Thank you, Chair. Before I put my position, I just wanted to request that I think you explained this issue of getting the documents that I think they were shared as part of the ATC. Perhaps if we can into the future that our committee support just indicate, because I also struggled. I was actually asking Lizette this morning, because indeed sometimes, you know, the ATC things come and there are many. So I just wanted to raise that, because I think sometimes we would come to meetings and assume that documents we didn't receive. So I'm just asking that extra support from the committee staff, if they do not mind, just to indicate, because I think one is so used to get the documents most of the time in preparation for meetings from the committee support. Apologies if that is extra burden, Chair. I think that's the first issue. The second one, Chair, I think as the ANC, we would want to reserve our right to present our view in the House. Thanks.
Thank you so much. I see Member Maseko's hand.
Chair, I second Member Andrikas van der Westhuizen.
Thank you so much. And for the record, should it be necessary, I also support Member Maseko and van der Westhuizen's position in this particular regard. Let us just quickly record. And Member Mkondlo, I do take note of the documentation. I did check at the time when the information from Budget Committee through Ms. Simon went out whether all members were on. They were, but I will also ask the procedural officer just to make sure that the members also get the respective information individually as well. Okay, let's see here. Okay, oh, wonderful. You've already started with the editing process. Okay, let's start. Let's see. Yeah, you've taken out the words draft. Let's just check if the bill number is correct. Ms. Klutte, if you can just confirm for me that the bill number is correct. 6, yes, okay.
Yes,
7 December, yes. Okay, yeah, it supports the vote. So you can take the does not support out. Okay, yeah. And then minority view, you can take the words if any out. Yes, you're correct. You can take that part out as well. And then it was indicated, express its minority view to reserve its right, reserve its position on the, what is the correct wording there, Ms. Klutte? Reserve its position. Okay, I think there's a little bit of a lag in the typing on my side. So it's to express its view. Okay, perfect. Members, are you happy with the method of editing there? If members are happy with the wording, if I could get a support for the committee report. Members van der Westhuizen.
Propose that the report be adopted.
Supported.
Thank you so much. Thank you, also Member Mkondlo. The report has thus been adopted. Ms. Klutte, do you need me to read it out, or is it so happy in that regard?
Sorry, Chairperson. I think for the record, you can maybe read it in the record. I'll just screen it again. Sorry.
Okay. No problem. Let me just quickly read it for the public.
Okay, there we go.
No problem. Okay, let me just read it for the public quickly. Report of the Standing Committee on Finance, Economic Opportunities and Tourism on Vote 3, Provincial Treasury in the schedule to the Western Cape Adjustments Appropriation Bill B6/2021, dated 7 December 2021. Standing Committee on Finance, Economic Opportunities and Tourism reports that it has concluded its deliberations on Vote 3, Provincial Treasury in the schedule to the Western Cape Adjustments Appropriations Bill B6/2021, referred to the committee in terms of Standing Rule 188 and that it supports the vote referred to it. Minority view in terms of Standing Rule 90, the African National Congress expressed its minority view to reserve its position to express its view in the House. And then it's just my signature, which I will add. But with that, thank you so much. The report has thus been adopted. There's nothing further for us. And colleagues, because this is the last meeting of the year, I would just like to thank Ms. Adams, Ms. Klitter. I see Ms. Morris is also online, Mr. Hassam, our sign language interpreting services and translation interpreting services, just for all their assistance throughout the year, all the hard work, the dedication that you've given to this committee. And I also just like to thank all the members for the robust debate and always engaging and always being present in this committee. And I hope you have a wonderful festive season, that you stay safe, that you stay warm. Please stay safe on the roads, and I hope to see you all refreshed in the new year within 2022. Thank you. The meeting is adjourned.
Yeah, and same to you and your loved ones.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Goodbye, Chairperson. Bye, members.